Humans of the Cardboard. Very recently in the OCG, they announced a new archetype. It's called, I guess you could call it Sinful Spoils. You could base it off of the main monster, DIABELLESTARR, but it is a very generically applicable engine to a lot of different decks in the game that may want to splash it in. So that's what we're doing today. We're talking about the engines or the decks that I think could mess around with splashing this engine in, because of the way that it functions and the cool synergies some of those decks and archetypes might actually have. So, if you don't know what this theme does, it's cool. There's a couple things to keep in mind. It does not take a normal summon. It actually only has one monster in the archetype at all, similar to, like Eldritch, I think is probably a good one to kind of compare it to. And here's how it works. This is the main monster. You can special summon it from your hand by sending one other card from your hand or field. So that is any face-up card. That could be monster, spell, or trap, as well as anything in hand. This does not start a chain, by the way. This is a just summoning condition, not an activated effect, which is cool. Secondly, when this card is normal or special, if this card is normal or special summon, you can set one of the Sinful Spoils spell or trap cards directly from the deck. We'll read about those in just a sec. And if this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard during the opponent's turn, you can send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard to reborn this card. So you summon it on your turn to set a spell or trap, and then when you send this card on the opponent's turn, you get to summon it back and set another spell or trap, which is just kind of going to help you in the grind game. It's a very grindy engine, very much so reminds me of Eldritch, but let's show off some of the other cards here that could be important. You have Hunter Fiend. This is a really good one. This card adds DIABELLESTARR from deck to hand or graveyard to hand. I think it's important to note that this says one DIABELLESTARR monster, so we're definitely potentially viable to get more DIABELLESTARR monsters down the line, but not yet. And during the main phase, you can banish this card from the grave to target a Sinful Spoils spell or trap that is banished, put it on the bottom of the deck, and draw cards. So this is a Rhoda that just on a later turn, actually you can use both in the same turn. So potentially just draw one. It's just potentially, what am I looking for here? Engage, right? Search an archetypal monster and then also draw a card later on. Maybe a little slower, but it is a quick play spell, so there's also really good utility here. Next up you have Luciella, Doom Luciella. This card's crazy. So you can target a level 7 or higher spellcaster you control and apply these effects. That monster is unaffected by other monsters' effects this turn, but send it to the grave during the standby of the next turn. That's not that important. The main effect here is this one. It's like a wing. It's like a Slight for the Sky Dragon effect, but quick effect. All face-up monsters your opponent controls currently lose attack equal to that monster's attack. Then, if any of those monsters' attack hits 0, destroy them. That is non-targeting. It actually only targets your monster. So, yeah. This thing is 2,500, so you're able to wipe the board of anything with 2,500 or less attack your opponent currently controls. Non-targeting. That is very strong. There's this other card here. This card kind of links this archetype with another archetype, Snake Eye. It lets you send another face-up card you control to the graveyard to special summon a level 1 fire monster from your hand or deck. And then you can also banish this card from grave to target a Snake Eye or DIABELLESTARR in grave. Add a level 1 fire monster from deck to hand, then place the targeted card on the bottom of the deck. So really good card. I mean, it kind of just e-tellies for a level 1 fire. You do have to send a card, but it's from field. So if you have a continuous or a field spell or something like free, you can easily just send something like that. So pretty good card as well. That's another accessible card here. I think the important part about this card more than the others is that this one is not a quick play, right? Quick play, and the other one's a trap. This one's just a normal spell. So you can actually set this one off of DIABELLESTARR and activate it that same exact turn to go ahead and get yourself a level 1 fire. That could be really huge. And the last card here we have here is Sinful Spoils of Betrayal. This card's cool. Sends a DIABELLESTARR monster from your hand or field to the grave that target a face-up card on the field and negate its effects. There's another effect on here that can kind of negate a card that activates in response to a DIABELLESTARR or Sinful Spoils effect to negate it. Your opponent's going to know this is engraved, so they're probably going to try not to play into this, but it could still be nice to have that ability engraved. You can't use both in the same turn as well, so keep that in mind. But the main thing here is if you play a deck that maybe really struggles with board breakers, right? Your Dark Ruler No Mores, your Evenly matches, stuff like that. This card negates monsters as well as spells and traps. So That opens up this engine to also help decks that don't set up maybe spell and trap negations, some of those unrespondable by monster effect board breakers, and really cancel those out. So there's our quick little run through of what this engine actually offers. Let's get into our top 10 list of the archetypes I think pair with it very, very nicely. So the first one here is Eldritch. I already talked about this. Eldritch already has literally every card in the archetype wants to be engraved, so being able to send those, even specifically even stuff like Cursed Outland, activate it, get a search, then send it for her, and then I think it triggers engrave at that point to get you a card as well. Really good synergy there. You can pitch any of the traps. You can pitch Golden Lord. These engines pair really, really nicely together, and since Eldritch is already a pretty small engine, you can end up playing like a 10 card Eldritch engine, 10-ish card, maybe a little bit over that, and then a less than 10 card DIABELLESTARR engine, and boom, less than 20 engine cards. You've still got 20 plus slots to play consistency cards, going second cards, more traps, more board breakers, whatever you want. There really could be a role for that, for sure, because Eldritch is kind of in power crept. It's not enough on its own, but maybe the two engines combined could be enough. We'll see. Next up, we have Alistair, the Invoked engine. Really cool here. There's a couple of important things to note. The first thing is the field spell. Once you use the field spell, yes, the protection effect is nice, but I think I'd rather like save myself from going -1 by pitching the field spell to get DIABELLESTARR out, which is still really good. On top of that, the standard line for Invoked nowadays is like normal summon Alistair, make the Link 1 spellcaster Artemis, and then go ahead and use Invocation to banish him and get yourself your Macabre. Well, now you can just send the Link 1 because that was going to just get banished anyway. It can still be banished from grave. That is just completely free. And now you get Macabre plus your DIABELLESTARR. Boom, get to grinding. It's cool. I think this engine actually has some legs. Plus, this uses your normal summon. DIABELLESTARR doesn't. They should be able to work pretty seamlessly together. Spellbook's another one. This is just a deck that doesn't really, that just kind of likes having spellcasters. You get a couple spells off of the DIABELLESTARR engine, so being able to take advantage of like some of those spells can be nice as well. Yeah, this one's kind of simple. It's just an engine that doesn't use your normal. It kind of plays within itself, helps you grind. This is a grindy deck. This one's pretty simple, I think. Nothing too crazy, but, you know, doesn't hurt. I think there's, like, some baseline synergy, but nothing crazy. Orchest. Long story short, Orchest just likes being engraved. Getting DIABELLESTARR, then being able to pitch the Orchest cards that want to be engraved more than hand anyway, boom, just gets the engine rolling, especially if Harp Horror comes off the list. Now, I also think when Konami does release Harp Horror, they'll probably only release it at 1 copy, so this is maybe a future one that I'm looking at. Like, maybe this will be, they release it to 1, it doesn't really do anything, then they release it to 2 and 3, and then maybe this is more interesting, because Harp's obviously the best one to pitch. But it's something to keep an eye on. I do think it's good enough synergy because this deck can play just straight up from grave, which is really nice. Sky Striker. Yeah, this is a cool engine, especially when we're talking about the trap card, right? It gives you a negate for anything, but also when it negates, it sends DIABELLESTARR to grave. So you can trigger it to summon it back, but you also could clear your main monster zone to kind of use some Sky Striker quick play spells as well. I'm not saying it's perfect. I think there's a little bit of synergy there. We've seen stuff like DPE be something that could be played in Striker because it can jump on the field, it can clear itself from the field fairly easily and just kind of like roll like that. This kind of feels a little bit similar to that. It's able to just clear those main monster zones for you when you need it. But, you know, Striker has so many options nowadays. I'm not sure it's going to be the best way, but I do think it's something you could consider. Here we go. Snake Eyes. These archetypes were clearly designed to work together. If you do not know, this is their main searcher. When he is summoned, he searches any level 1 fire. So we already talked about the spell. So like DIABELLESTARR can just get you the spell that summons this guy, and then this guy searches you a level 1 fire, and you have not used your normal summon yet. So you could go ahead and get another one of the fire guys. It kind of gets set up here. The only thing with the Evil Eye or Snake Eyes so far is they do not seem to set up a ton of interruptions. So we'll keep an eye on them. They still feel like they need a power play. They just don't have it quite yet. They have some cool removal pieces and stuff, but they just don't do enough to really keep the opponent at bay on their turn. So we'll see, but there's definitely some big potential there, especially just the fact that she searches the best starter for this deck anyway. That's probably a good sign. So we'll keep an eye on that. Scarecrow. I think Scarecrow is pretty cool. I think, interestingly enough, this deck already sometimes likes to mess around with like the adventure engine. Doesn't take the normal summon, gives you some negation protection for a deck that doesn't really have much negation to it. It has more removal stuff and making sticky boards that are really hard to deal with. This engine can kind of just be thrown in there potentially. You could still keep the adventure engine and add this engine. Now, might worry about consistency and having enough defensive cards, but I definitely think that could be something to consider. Because this engine does not use a normal summon effect or anything, so you're still good with the adventure engine, and it gives you some extra utility there, for sure. So it could be something. Phantom Knights. Phantom Knights have a lot going on. I think the first thing is they don't need to activate stuff, so same thing, they don't have to activate like a normal summon effect, so same thing, you can use adventure engine, and also they could use this engine, which gives you another way to pitch Phantom Knight cards that may be stuck in hand, and kind of get that stuff going. Kind of cool. I don't know. A grindier version of Phantom Knights. We could see it. Wouldn't be too surprised if that has some legs to it, but we'll see. Volcanics. Volcanics are a couple reasons. One, they use their normal summon. They need a supporting engine. It seems to that doesn't take the normal summon. It can kind of work in conjunction. I think this engine could work. People are already looking at Runic, and this is kind of a Runic-esque engine. Doesn't take the normal summon, can kind of just work on top of whatever your main engine is, kind of thing. But also, we got some level 1 fires in here, so maybe actually taking advantage of the level 1 fire aspect of this engine could be something interesting. Summoning a Rin Fire from deck to get another send for something, getting a Shell out, so that way you can just link Shell off and then Shell gets you 2 more adds, or you just make full hand advantage from there. There's definitely some potential here for Volcanics and this engine as well, for sure. And the last one I think I have today is Zombies. Just a cool one, just pretty simple, kind of like Orchest. They just have so many cards that are good to send, and this engine just pretty simply is going to give you at least one like easy free send from hand or field, which is really nice. Ballardrock, Bloom, Banshee, Mizuki, any of those cards, right, makes the deck a little bit better at unbricking that hand, especially if you're getting good value out of it in the sense of getting that kind of engine online. And this is another deck that probably wants to play the Eldritch engine in some instances. So you could play Eldritch plus DIABELLESTARR plus an actual zombie engine to maybe have a higher ceiling turn 1. Normal summoning your Uni zombies, getting a ton of value there, maybe going into synchro stuff. I don't know, but I think it's worth considering. The only other thing I think is probably worth here that I didn't give its own spotlight here, but we mentioned, is the adventure engine. There's a world where you could play DIABELLESTARR pure with just like the adventure engine thrown in there. Now, that's like the same thing, just minus the Scarecrow stuff, or minus the Phantom Knight stuff that we talked about earlier. But if you feel confident enough in this engine and the adventure engine combined, like, you could just play a ton of defensive cards with like those 2 engines and ride out some victories for sure. So I think that one I probably should have had on here, but I didn't realize it until after. But still cool. So there you go. Those are 10 archetypes I think have really interesting synergy with the DIABELLESTARR / Sinful Spoils archetype. I really want to know from you guys if there's anything else. This was a super base level, just kind of going through things and looking at like what basically should have some synergy, just giving you guys some ideas to start running away with and testing out. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. Is there any other ideas you have early on what you want to mess around with this engine? I really want to hear your thoughts on that stuff down below. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Should have some cool stuff coming soon. Dune is dropping this week, and I have some cool stuff coming in for that. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.